So I'm Al Ingalls, creator of the Pressure Free Method, and this is the Back to School Challenge for 2025. I've done these little challenges before. This is going to be about a 30-minute training, very specific to helping you have a really great school year. I wanted to share my screen here for a moment and just show you my guys, my family. Let's see here, where are they? Here they are. So this is my family. My husband and I, Pete and I raised three sons. William is the youngest. He's next to me on the far side. Hugh is in the middle, and Ned is on the far right. And I, of course, absolutely adore these the people in this picture. Ages. So Hugh is currently 33, Ned is 31, and William's 25. So there's a little bit of a spread between the second and the third. But we were a very active family. In fact, I wrote a book that's helpful to people. It's called Pressure Free Parenting, and there's stories in here, the things that I share in here. If there's anything about my family, I asked them first if I could include it. I'm also the author of The Pressure Free CEO. This is my new book. This is for leaders of anything. If you lead a team, you lead an organization, a nonprofit, a business, this could be a very helpful book for you. So I'm author of two books, created this method, and I really care deeply that students have a great experience in school, and that's not always the case. When I think back to myself, I did a few things that would have been concerning had I been the parent of me. One of the things that happened in the third grade was I had really, really, really long hair down to my waist. And my mother would always prepare it in the morning. So she did all these things. So usually it was pulled back away from my face. Um, and I started to get headaches. So they took me to the eye doctor, but what they discovered was they thought my hair was pretty thick and that it was pulling and actually causing tension, and that was what was causing my headaches. So my mother cut my hair into a pixie cut, if any of you remember the pixie cuts. And I cried and cried and cried because I really loved my hair. So it was traumatic to have my hair all cut off and go to school looking like that. Um, and then I started a new habit, which was to scratch my forehead. I was coaching a group of faculty and athletic coaches at a private school out east. And one of the coaches asked me about that, about the head scratching. And so I would scratch my forehead, like right into my scalp, right in here, so hard that it actually would bleed and scab up. And then I'd pick at the scab. So it became a nervous habit. Um, so your child, if you're a parent or if you're the student yourself, you may have all these little things you do. Maybe you pick your cuticles, or you chew your fingernails, or you chew pens, or you like, where's my pen here? I had a client, a college student who would like flip his pen all the time or click the pen all the time. Maybe your leg jiggles. You've got some sort of nervous thing going on. Um, I'm going to give very specific tips to help with a lot of that. Um, and because tonight's the first night, what I really want to focus on is routine. Because the way we set up our morning for ourselves and our students, our children, really plays a huge impact in what they're able to do in their day and what we're able to do in our day. So, whatever you have going on, I want you to be open to the possibility that that can change. If it's some sort of negative thing that you'd love to see change, I want you to just be open to the possibility that yes, it really can. And the first exercise tonight in this challenge, and it's really maybe you won't get it completed in this time period here, but between now and tomorrow night, it can be something that you think about. And that's to really create a vision of how you want your routines to go, your morning and your evening. Like, how would you like those bookends of your day to go for yourself, for your children, if you are the student, for you as the student? How do you want to wake up and how do you want that first routine to go? And then as you're getting ready to go to sleep at night, like, what do you want that one to look like? And the reason I have you take some time to vision it is because we can be so stuck in our routines. You might not even think you have a routine, but you actually do. And taking a moment to say, well, how do I really want it to be? If I were going back in time and my children, my three boys were small, the vision that I would write for myself now is that we get up in the morning and everything just works fluidly and easily. I never have to raise my voice and say, hurry up, we're going to be late. Everybody does everything they need to do, and we seamlessly go out and get into the car, and it all just works beautifully. And we're on time for everything, and there's never any tension in the morning. And then at night, same kind of thing. Like, I don't ever have to tell my kids, oh, did you brush your teeth? Or like everybody just does what they need to do. And they go to bed at different times, perhaps, but it all happens seamlessly and there's no drama. Like if I were creating my vision, I would say it's completely drama free. Like I'm not interested in any arguing or shouting matches or trying or prodding or cajoling for anything to get done in these routines. Like it just happens because it's what we do. So that would be my vision. So what do you want in your vision for your routines? Morning, night. And now we got to take a step back and ask ourselves and really acknowledge what is happening in our routines. So if you take a look at how your routines are going right now, and it's from coming out of sleep. So let's start with yourself personally. So when you're coming out of sleep, how do you wake up in the morning? Is it an alarm? Is it like a gentle alarm, maybe music or just a gentle sound, harp strings or something? Or is it like that Power Ranger button, like wank, wank, wank? Is it a really loud sound? Or is somebody waking you up? And are they waking you up like gently, or are they waking up harshly, like hurry up, we're going to be late kind of idea? Or is it just really gentle? When my kids were really little, I would sing to them to wake up. I would sing to them to go to sleep, and I would sing for them to wake up. These little songs. Um, and I'd make up songs for them. So it wasn't just things you would know. Um, so acknowledging what your current routine um, is really critical. First for yourself, and then to observe your child. Like, what is their routine? What do they do right now? Are you telling them what to do every step of the way? Like, how is that all working? I love to say to my clients, acknowledgement sets us free. Like, if we can acknowledge that some things are going on that maybe we want to shift and change, we've got to say it first. We've got to say, yeah, I really don't like how I wake up my kids in the morning or how I'm always riding them to get out the door, whatever the thing is. Um, I think too, like if your child is in, even when they're in elementary school, like first grade, if we're having to still say, hey, did you brush your teeth? That's an issue. Like they're old enough to do so many things, complicated things on games and phones and all kinds of things. Brushing their teeth is not a hard task. And if you taught them how to do it, like them doing it could be totally natural without you having to prod and make sure it's getting done. So that kind of can go along with vision for you as well. But acknowledging what happens now is really important. Once you've acknowledged, and you can even write this out, like write out what you see, write out what you're noticing, and then you can do some assessment. So we're setting a vision, that's step one. We're acknowledging, step two. Step three is to assess. So let's take a look at the morning routine and assess what's working and what isn't working. Something that I noticed with all three of my sons, particularly as they moved into middle school and high school, is that they all had the things they had to do in the morning and also at night, but they all did it differently and they all did it in a different order. One of the things that I've noticed when I'm coaching, and by the way, I coach students as young as 10, but when I'm coaching a student and I have them write out their routine and look at their routines, sometimes what I'll say is, okay, so write it out and ask yourself, is this the best layout for my routine? I'll give you an example. I had a 17-year-old who who, when he took a look at his routine, he lives in a three-story house, but his bedroom's on the second story. He's on, kitchen and everything else on the first floor. Um, he realized he was going, let's see, down, up, down, like 7 times. It was crazy. He counted how many times he went up or down a flight of stairs, and it was so excessive. And what he realized was he could change the order of the things he was doing so that he only made a couple of trips up and down stairs. Um, and so that's a simple example, but how much time was it taking him going up and down and up and down? And it was mostly because he had never thought about what is my routine in the morning, what needs to get done, and when can I get it done? And then also forgetting things. So like thinking you're prepared, but oh, I've practiced it. I need this. And so he'd go back up to his room. So having more of an idea of what needs to all come downstairs and doing some of that setup the night before. It was a game changer for him. He realized he's shaved off so much time, but also he stopped the nervous energy of going up and down and up and down and fearing that he was going to forget something. I see that with a lot of not just my student clients, but my adult clients too, when they're going on a trip or going here um, for school. It's a big thing. Like there can be different days and things are brought on different days, and it can be, oh, I'm so afraid I'm going to forget something. So that fear can cause you to trigger the fight or flight stress response. And now we're not thinking very well. I'll get into that in just a moment, but let's just finish this idea of routine. And I'm going to share my method with you. If you haven't heard it yet, I'll share it with you and you can start playing with some of the tools that I'm going to give you. So once you've assessed, the next step is to experiment. So if you write out your routine in the order that you want it, just experiment and see if that's the best way. Like this student who was going up and down the stairs, maybe you are going to flip some things around and say, okay, so I'm going to get up, I'm going to use the bathroom, and I'm going to do this and this and this, and then I'm going to go downstairs and have breakfast, and I'm going to go upstairs, brush my teeth, get my backpack, da, da, da. What are the things? And it may seem um, a little excessive to be writing out all the steps, but I can't tell you how many people it's helped. It's incredible when we write out the steps and actually see what it is we're doing. Because some of us say, oh, I don't have a routine. But you do, it is just kind of haphazard or it's just happening. So then experiment and try your routine for a while. See how that's working for you. Maybe you're going to again switch a couple steps or change something up or add something in that's going to be helpful to you. Maybe now you have a little bit more time, so you're actually going to do a little workout in the morning. Or you're going to, I used to practice my violin. I'd get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I would practice my violin. My sisters took their showers first. I practiced my violin, and then I took a shower, and then I had breakfast. So we only had one bathroom growing up. There were 5 people in my house. So how we made that all happen was pretty amazing every morning. Then once you do have that routine, I encourage you once in a while to do something that's called a pattern interrupt. So if you get kind of locked in a groove of how you always do things, every once in a while just kind of shake it up and try something a little bit different. And it could be an aspect of the thing that you're doing. This is kind of an interesting one, but I learned something interesting from a wonderful dental hygienist once. She had me hold my toothbrush in the opposite hand and brush my teeth that way. And if I was using like an electronic toothbrush, you just use it with that. But also, she would also have me work with a manual toothbrush. And whichever direction I was making my circular motions, she would have me reverse it and then do it with the other hand. I had a violin teacher who during orchestra camp would make us eat every meal with our left hand. So pattern interrupt, changing things up just a little bit, it can be fun, but it can also do a little something that helps that routine not get too stale. Because I mean, I personally really love routines, but some people really need to pattern interrupt and shake things up now and then. So once you've got this routine, I want you to think about a few things. about this morning and evening, and I focus mostly on the morning, but the evening is super important too. Um, and here's a question for you. What assumptions are you currently making about these routines or about how the morning is going to be? What do I mean by that? Do you have an assumption that it's going to be hard to get up, that you're tired and you don't want to get up in the morning, or that your kids are tired and don't want to get up in the morning? Is there an assumption that that you're going to be late? Is there an assumption that you're going to have to remind everybody of everything? What do you currently assume, like deep in your mind? And your behavior, your tone of voice, all of that is going to be matching this hidden assumption that you have. So if you can really acknowledge and get clean about what's going down, I'm telling you, that's what I did in 2010. I realized I was like a I was like one of those cruise directors with a clipboard. Okay, remember, you have baseball this afternoon. Did you wash your baseball gear? And dad's taking you to hockey. I'm going to pick you up at the library. Like I'm just telling everybody what they're doing, but there's a color-coded calendar right behind me in the dining room, and they all can read. And I even had us parent colors like underlining who's taking whom, where. So like, what the heck am I doing, right? So here's how I changed my assumptions. I assumed people didn't know what the day brought. Is that a valid assumption? First of all, they probably know it's Tuesday better than I do, so they know the day of the week. So I'm like, okay, so that's an assumption I don't need to be making. They all can read. So the youngest is 10. He reads beautifully. I don't need to be telling everybody what they're doing. They know the gear they need for the day. So what if I just get quiet? So my tool here is to just zip your lips. See if you can get a little quieter in the morning and a little quieter in the evening instead of assuming that you have to direct everything. I think as parents, and I know for me, I just wanted the ship to run really well, and I wanted my kids to get the most out of everything. I wanted all of us as a family to get the most out of everything. And so I thought I needed to like command it all or control it all or make sure it all went really, really well. But when I got quiet and no longer did that, things opened up in really, really cool ways. So I encourage you to take a look at what your assumptions are and see if you can ask yourself deeply, like, is that what I really want to assume? One of the things, and my clients all know this, like, I just assume success for my clients. If I don't hear from them because they can text me 24/7, I assume their lives are going wonderfully. So I began to assume that for our family back in 2010. My assumption was I don't need to tell them anything. They know what day of the week it is, they know what they're doing. And if they need help, they'll ask me. But I don't need to be riding them. I don't need to be pushing all the time. That was a game changer for our family. The family, everything worked better, by the way. It just worked better, more smoothly. Um, I was not overreacting to the schedules and to things, and that made a huge difference. Um, so the next step, if you know what you're currently assuming, the next step for you is to actually write down, like, what do I want to assume? So I will say to my clients, my kids, I assume success for you. I assume that this day is going to be beautiful for you. I assume that everything is going to be fine. And if it's not, we can stay pressure free. We don't have to overreact and we can solve it. We can come to solutions. We can find ways to handle any problem that comes our way and know that we can. If we keep cool and we don't overreact, we can find solutions really fast. So writing down some of those assumptions, like I assume that we'll always be on time. We'll be on the time we need to be. I mean, if you're driving and you get caught behind a funeral procession, um, and you're now going to be behind, you're going to be late because you can't pass. I would just sit and pray for the family in front of me. Like, what's happening? It's somehow my car is behind here, and that's okay. It's only a few moments. It's not that long. Um, so not just assuming that you're going to be on time or on the time you need to be. Making another assumption about time. I remember a mom of two. Um, she would always say to herself, um, that I don't have time. I don't have time. And I said to her, in any given moment, you have all the time in the world. I spread my arms like that. And she goes, I do. So she started to say, I have all the time in the world when she started to feel that time pressure. So, what assumptions can you make about time? What assumptions can you make about what each one of your children, if you have multiple children, what each of them has to do in their routines, yourself, your partner, whoever's in the household, your pets, like all the things you have to take care of before you leave and go out the door? Is your assumption that, oh, this is a pain and I got to get this done? Or is your assumption open and you know that this can happen for you and it's in a good space? So you can play with that idea too. What are you assuming? So to close up today, I want to share what is the pressure-free method for you to get started with this idea of routine. Oh, and then I'm going to close a little something special. So pressure-free method is 3 simple steps. We sort of started to even do it as a framework in this talk about routines. So the first is targets. What is your vision? When you can write down your vision, when you can get really clear about it, you can even post it on the fridge. My vision for our mornings is that they are joyful, peaceful, and loving. You know, smooth. Everything is working smoothly. What are some words that matter to you? Um, Sometimes people will come to me and say, my target is just to feel happier. I don't want to feel so unhappy. So maybe it's emotions that you want to feel. So what are your targets specifically around routines, morning and evening? Second step of pressure free is noticing what causes you to feel emotions or any sort of tension that set you on the edge of a cliff to trigger the stress response. So our deep-seated fears are the ones that are fueling the ones like feeling we're going to be late, feeling that we're not enough, we're not good enough, we're going to mess up on the test, like all of these feelings we have. And so, really, when we get down to it, it's a feeling that, a fear that we might get pushed out of the tribe because we're not good enough, because we didn't show up on time, we missed out. And so, no, so now it's like, well, you're not worthy. You're not worthy of time. You're not worthy of love. So those deep-seated fears can come up in the smallest of things going on in our lives. So when you can acknowledge feeling a certain tension, either mentally or physically, like your shoulders go up, or you're starting to want to bite your pen or bite your fingernails or click the pen, like the tension is going, that's a sign that you're triggering the stress response. And these stress hormones are going out that are going to affect your cortex, your hippocampus, and every cell of your body. So we want to keep the lights on. We don't want to overreact and release these hormones because then it's hard to make decisions, to have willpower, to remember things. And we'll go deeper into that in future nights here. But for right now, just start to notice, oh yeah, that makes my shoulders go up, or that makes my stomach feel weird, or oh, I'm clenching my jaw again. Or if you have lines here, you've just been coming here in tension over and over again. And it's usually because you're triggering the stress response. So that's step 2, noticing the triggers. And step 3, tools and the 10-second solution. When you feel these tensions, you have about 10 seconds to stop the release of the fight or flight stress hormones. When you can do that, you're going to start to set yourself free because these hormones can actually make you feel anxious and make you feel jittery and make you feel stupid or brain foggy. So when we can interrupt them, everything can start to change for us. And I mean everything. It's fascinating what changes for my clients. So I'm going to give you a couple tools tonight. It's thinking specifically about routines. The one I mentioned earlier is to just get quiet. If you feel yourself starting to make a complaint in the morning or start to use a tone of voice that's a little elevated because you want to get everybody out the door, you yourself want to get yourself out the door, I want you to just pause for just a second and just be quiet. And then see if you can turn around the words that are happening in your head to something that's going to be moving you towards successfulness. So, for example, if I'm like, oh crap, I'm going to be late, nope, it's going to be just fine. I'm going to be in perfect time. That's what I say. If you notice, I'm kind of smiling a little sarcastically because my brain doesn't quite believe that yet. But if I can smile, I can release these little chemicals in my brain called neuropeptides that's going to make it possible for me to make that a reality. So smile, a little bit of closing the mouth and zipping your lips, not saying the thing that's going to take you out of your game. And then a tool I'm going to give you over and over, but that's just relax your belly muscles. The fastest tool I know to tell the brain to not overreact, because our ab muscles are like body armor, and we tighten there to protect ourselves, especially if we fear anything. So when you relax here, it tells your brain that you're going to be absolutely fine. If you combine zip the lips, a little bit of smirk, a little smile, and relax your abs in that 10-second window, I know that something's going to start to shift and change for you because you're going to think better. And you're going to realize that in this situation, you probably don't need to overreact here, and you don't need those stress hormones to fight or run away because we don't really need to do that right now. All we're doing is getting ready for work or school. Or at night, all we're doing is getting ready to go to sleep at night. So one last thing is this is going to clue into nighttime things too, but when you're coming out of sleep and when you're drifting into sleep, your brain is in a state called theta waves, and that's when your subconscious and conscious are very connected. So for millennia, almost every culture, almost every religion, what do people do in those bookends of the day? They prayed. And then in the counterculture of the 70s, 1970s, we kind of threw that out. So if I coach people who were born prior to 1970, almost every one of them said prayers at night, some in the morning as well, or at meals. But if I coach people that are born after that, it's a far smaller percentage of people, which is kind of interesting to me because it's like, what are we thinking about? Doesn't need to necessarily be organized religion type of prayer thing, but what are we thinking about in those bookends? If you wake up to a loud sound, that's very disruptive to your theta wave state. So when you're first coming out of sleep, if you can be either gentle music, and then I have my clients do three things. I have them look at something beautiful. I look at a pine branch right out my windows of my condo. It's this beautiful pine branch. Um, what are you hearing? I hear bird song. And then what are your first thoughts? What do you want those first thoughts to be? If they can be of gratitude, love, and confidence, or peace, joy, love, you pick three words like that you can just kind of open up in that way. And then as you're drifting off to sleep, same thing. What do you want? What are you confident about? What are you grateful for? Gratitude will spur a lot of beautiful thoughts for you when you're drifting off to sleep. So play with the bookends, and that's just a really beautiful tool to just set up your morning and then have you drift off to a beautiful sleep. These stress hormones, by the way, interrupt your sleep. So if you do wake up in the middle of the night or have trouble going to sleep, my tool for my clients here to simply ask yourself the question, um, how can I, how can I get all the rest I need? Rest. So rest seems to be a word that allows the body to just kind of drift a little more. And sleep, because we talk about sleep so much, has a little more anxiety around it right now. So I've noticed that the word rest is really helpful to my clients. You can ask yourself, well, you can even state like, I'll get all the rest I need. And your body can more easily drift back to sleep for yourself. So I hope this has been helpful. I'm going to close out the Facebook now and go straight to Zoom to finish out tonight. Tomorrow night, we'll be doing a different topic and we'll be giving more tools and tips to help you have a really, really great school year. If you need some help with this, please DM me. I'd love to have a conversation with you. And you can always go to my website and you'll see a button there where you can actually find a spot on my calendar. And that's at pressure-free.com or my name, lingalls.com. So it's a great, beautiful, pressure-free night. Bye.